So if anybody has anything they'd like to share, now's your chance. I can come to you, but I can start. Um, when Betty was here in our church, her and her favorite son Butch, and sorry, Kat, I think she loved all of you the same, but yeah, he was a favorite son. Good thing there was only one of them. But they came out to our house for Bible study, Butch and Kat and Betty, and it was always interesting. You know, they always kind of had little remarks for one another. Like even when we were in the back here before we came in, apparently all four of them have been staying in one little apartment this week, and Butch just loved it and made that clear. And but just the way that the family talks, like that's Betty coming through. Apparently Stephanie tripped and fell and just about broke her head open, and Butch just made it clear. He made sure she was okay before he laughed at her, but then he made sure he laughed at her. But that's kind of how Betty was. She loved life. She loved sarcasm. You knew she loved you, but she'd make fun of you as well. But it was just, that was Betty, just a sense of humor, and just it was fun. So when we had her at Bible study, there was always these little remarks that would come up and just make you smile. Sometimes make you shake your head, but it would still make you smile. So, but no, it's great lady. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? I can come down to you. You don't have to come up to the platform. Yes, sir. Tell us who you are and your story.
Hello. I'm Levi. I'm one of Betty's grandkids. Some of the memories I have of her is when she was involved with the church. I would go with my other grandmother to a bunch of different church events with the presbytery, and I'd randomly encounter Nana, just randomly, because she did so much work as an elder, and then after she stepped down from the elder, she was part of the presbytery. She'd go around to the different churches, to the different camps, and do all the different things with that. And I'd always encounter her, and it was always random. But some of my favorite memories of her is when I lived with her mom and Butch in Red Deer after they moved down. When I moved in with them, I quickly found out how much of a practical joker Nana was, because she would catch me quite often setting up practical jokes to try and scare my mom. And she'd give me ideas that I'd never think of that made it work out better. But she was also a ninja. You could be paying attention to everything in the house, and she'd still somehow manage to sneak up on you and scare you, either by grabbing you on the sides or tickling you. And she would always start cackling and walk away. We also had a little puppy named Layla. She would get in arguments with this little dog over her cigar, because Layla would just like to sit there and chew on this little cigar toy, and Nana would be like, no, it's enough of that, time to go for a walk, and Layla would just look at her and go back to chewing. Nana was great. She was really funny, and she's going to be missed a lot.
I'm Rick, and along with Justin, I was able to minister and be a pastor of this church for a few years. Of course, that was before Betty moved to Red Deer. I remember visiting with her, and she would tell me her life stories of much of what we've heard today. And it was very interesting, and I shared with her, of course, that I had lived in New York City and South Dakota. I'd been in Kansas and so forth. And then I pastored in New York City, and she'd been all over the United States as well, as we'd heard. And so we had a really good time. On one of the times when I got together with her, just before she moved to Red Deer, I said to her, now, Betty, I know you as Henglehaupt. And she looked at me, and I said, yes, see, I was born in Germany, so I know the German language. I said, Betty, do you know that your name Hengel, if you take the H away from it, it's Engel, which means angel. And Haupt in German means head. So really, your literal name, I said to her, is you're an angel head. Oh, that was interesting for her. And then she quipped up with this Bible verse. And she says, well, you know what, Pastor? She actually called me Rick. Do you know what? And I said, well, what is it you're thinking of? She said, well, that reminds me of and he is the head of the church, and we angels are all part of his membership and his body. So she connected a Bible verse and several verses with that whole idea that all of you are angels if you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. And beyond that, he is the head, and he's the head over all of us, but we're all united. And so we had just such a wonderful time. She had such a wit. You called it sarcasm. I called it also a wit, a real quick wit for that matter. And she didn't care whether you were a pastor or a deacon or an elder or whatever. She would poke her little fun at you, and it was always a lively time with Betty.
Okay, well, that's great. It's great to hear from you and to share those memories.